Kate, I consider you a very bold person, and I also think, like you said, it's been 6 years, going 7 now since we met. So you've gone through a journey.
Yeah.
And I also consider you a healed parent, in quotes.
In quotes, maybe.
Yeah, in quotes.
Yeah.
When I mean healed, like it's your 11th year, with Amari.
Yeah.
So why do you want to share your story now? Why didn't you share it before? Why is it important that you share your story now?
Well, first of all, the opportunity has come now.
Yeah.
But I've been speaking about it here and there in different forums. But I want to share my perspective as a parent of a deaf child. So this is my story, my perspective, and what I've lived through. I am not in any way purporting to speak on behalf of Amari even. I cannot even speak on his behalf. So I'm speaking for...
Why wouldn't you speak on behalf of Amari or his mother?
He has his story to tell. It's his narrative to tell. And actually, when the reason I used to post a lot on social media, and then I stopped.
About him?
Yeah, about him, about the journey. But I stopped because I realized at the end of the day, he has his own story to tell. And I don't want, by the time he's 18 or when he has social media, to come and he's telling his story and then he's sort of correcting. He's finding my narrative is... Because I have such a head start. By the time he's 11 now, probably have social media when he's 18 or 20. So I have a 20-year head start. And I've told so many stories. And no judgment to those who are doing it. That's your way. But I want him to find sort of an empty slate or... for his own narrative to lead the story. And then now I can come in, because at the end of the day, I am his mom, yes, but at the end of the day, he's the disabled person. I cannot... I am struggling, yes, I have my struggles, but this is the point of view of a parent and not the disabled person.
The deaf child.
Not the deaf child. At the end of the day, I cannot understand what it is like to navigate this world as a deaf person.
Wow.
So I try as much as possible to always issue a disclaimer. This is my story, so don't say I'm speaking on his behalf. So I'll be speaking a lot of my point of view. So as for a healed parent, would I say I'm in a way, in a sense, I am healed. Actually, on my way here, I passed by Nairobi Hospital, Ngong Road, and I saw it and I thought, it's been many years since I came here, because that's where we used to go for checkups and all that. I think it's been, four years thereabout since we went there. We needed a checkup.
You mean for the cochlea?
For the cochlea and ears and all that. And I'm like, wow, how time changes. Because my Saturdays used to be spent at Landmark Plus. I know many deaf parents know Landmark. So that's where going for batteries, checkups, Nini. But now I've not even noticed the years have passed. But it's been a journey. It took a bit of time to get here, I would say. It was not an overnight process. I remember I said, my child is deaf. Those words, quote, my child is deaf. I think it was 4 or 3. It took me 4 years or 3 years to say those words.
Why? Is it a hard thing to... speak into that. What? I
don't know. It felt permanent. Like I'm sealing. Like I'm sealing the deal. Like now, this is my life. So because he's the first deaf person I have met.
You ever met?
I ever met. He is the first one. I'd never. In fact, they were not on my radar in my existence.
They didn't exist.
They didn't exist, if I'm being honest.
So
I knew of deafness, but that was something you got out of old age, like grandmothers. That's how I knew of deafness.
So you're saying you accepted... Would I relate it to you? When you accepted that Amari is deaf, that's when you were able to call him deaf.
Yes.
Like you called the condition for what it is after 3 years of knowing that he has... hearing loss.
Yes.
3
years. I would go about it, call it different terms, which is okay if you do, but medically and what he really is deaf, because
Yeah.
we'll get into his diagnosis. What he really is
Yeah.
actually, he's not hard of hearing.
Yeah.
He's not hearing impaired.
Yeah.
He's deaf because of the degree of his hearing loss. Yeah.
So it's quite a journey then to know about it and do something about it and accept it. So I suppose you were already doing something about it to find a way.
Yeah.
But you had not accepted the condition.
No, no, it was still difficult.
Would you say that's sort of like a general path for parents when they receive the diagnosis? Or maybe let's go back. When did you know? Like you said that you'd never met a deaf person. Like you'd read about it.
I don't think I'd even met a disabled person.
Wow. Okay.
Like
unless
on a wheelchair. I think we had a neighbor who had a fractured back.
Yeah.
And it's a neighbor who's like this guy usually uses a wheelchair. That's as much as I knew about disability.
You had not you knew of the disability world, but you hadn't interacted.
Yes.
Yeah. And then now here, baby's here, baby number one, and then
baby number one.
And then baby number one introduces you to the world of disability.
Yeah.
Take us through that journey of getting to know, the initial stages. How did you know? Then after you knew, what was that? What emotions? Take us through that journey.
Yeah. So it was a normal pregnancy. I didn't have any complications. I sailed through quite easily, I would say. The labor and delivery was also quite easy. I didn't labor for long. I didn't need any interventions. It was a natural birth. So, and then after a few months, I noticed by the time he was 4 months, I noticed he would stare a lot at lights. So if say there's a light in the house at the corner somewhere, he would really be captivated by light. He would really stare at it. Now in hindsight, I know it's because that's the sensory input. That's the only sensory input he had, but he'll stare at lights. And then where we used to live, the construction was going on. So Nairobi flats. So you live in this flat, but upstairs construction is going on. And they had that mixer that makes a lot of noise.
Yeah. I know it. With
kokoto. Makes a lot of noise. And he'll sleep through that. And for me, that was a joy. And I was like, hey, this child sleeps well.
My child is peaceful.
Yeah, my child is very peaceful. So he'll sleep through that. Then, but the time I really knew was he was at, I think, around 9 months. I bought him a rattle. And I gave it to him, and he just looked at it. When you give a child a rattle,
after you've shaken, they should do the same.
They should do the same. So he just looked at it disinterested, and for me that was, I think I've never forgotten that moment when the way he looked at it as though, what is this strange thing? Because I want you to imagine if you held a rattle with no auditory input. It's
meaningless.
It's meaningless. So it was meaningless to him, and so that is what sparked the idea to go to hospital. But I did.
What was that spark? Did you think of hearing loss, or what was happening? Like when the rattle didn't work, what made you to go to hospital?
So I had two signs now. I had the lights and the non-responsive rattle thing. So I thought he was autistic, because where would deafness come from?
Oh, so you are not thinking about deafness, you're just thinking of there could be just a developmental challenge.
Yeah, there's a developmental challenge here. This child, because he's seeing, he's eating well, everything else is doing accordingly, according to the milestones, but except for these two things. So this must be autism, because where is deafness coming from? Nobody's deaf on my side.
In your family.
Yeah, so
that side.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like I said, I associated deafness as something you get as you deteriorate with age. Yeah, so we went to, I walked into a hospital after convincing
the dad.
Yes, after convincing the dad for quite some time.
Wait, it was harder for the dad to think about what you were thinking, or
it was harder for me. Everybody kept telling me it's first time mom jitters, that I'm just an overbearing first time mom. And so I must say, to some extent, I didn't feel hard as I should have been. Because everybody told me boys will speak late. You're a first-time mom, like ni kuchelewa tu.
Those are myths around early detection of hearing loss.
Exactly.
Cultural statements. Yeah, boys get delayed.
Yes.
You're a first-time mom.
Yes.
Let's wait and see. Anyway, it's still early.
Yeah, it's still early. So we did wait, actually. So we didn't go at the 10th month.
Oh, you didn't go on the 10th month?
No,
okay.
We went when it was about a year. So those 3 months, it took time for me to just convince people. I think I kept saying something is wrong with this child.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with this child. And everybody kept dismissing it like first-time mom jitters. So eventually we did go. I walked into a triage and said, this child, there's something wrong with this child. And I don't know what it is. So we were sent to, I told them the same signs. He stares at lights and he's not responding to a rattle. So we were sent to see a neurologist. And how it works is that, well, I'm not saying the doctors don't know, but it's like elimination method is how I understood it. So you're starting with, so I've gone and said, I think he's autistic. So that's why I was sent to a neurologist. So the neurologist did some tests and it came out that he's not showing signs of autism. So the next part was we go for a screening. So at this time, he's already 1 year, I think 3 months or something.
So, sorry, so first you did an autistic, tests, and then you came back again to the hospital.
Yes.
So you had the courage to do the first hospital visit. And then after an unconclusive report, you still went again after 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I found that most parents, first, they don't even want to go to hospital first. Or if they receive an information, then they can take way longer time to come back for a second opinion. Yeah. Okay.
For me, I needed to get to the bottom of it because he kept staring at lights.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what is this thing. Why does he stare at lights? So once the autism test came back as a pass, I would say, so he's not autistic or he's not showing signs of autism, then the next part they send you to is the screening they send you to an audiologist. So
okay.
Yeah. So we went to an audiologist, they did the tests, and that's when the test came back as severe to profound hearing loss on both ears.
Yeah, so you said that you got the diagnosis of severe to profound, but let's go back a few steps. What was your diagnosis journey? Or unpack for a new parent what they can expect. Maybe they are suspecting, the rattle wonders and all that. Yeah, so what does it mean for a child to receive a full diagnosis that they have hearing loss?
Yeah, it's quite lengthy because you see, when I walked into triage, into the hospital, that's one appointment. That's one day. You don't see the neurologist the same day. So you have to book an appointment to see a neurologist.
Audiologist, you mean?
No, neurologist.
First?
Yes.
Oh, before you see the audiologist?
Yeah, before you see the audiologist.
Oh, really? You have to do that?
Yes.
So we were at the diagnosis journey, unpacking the initial diagnosis or screening and diagnosis journey, which is usually, I feel, is the most difficult thing to do. Yeah. So unpack that for us in terms of understanding the steps that you took, so that it can help a parent who probably is suspecting or is wondering what would that look like. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you remember, like I said, I was suspecting autism because I didn't expect any other type of condition. Yeah. So once I walked into the triage, they told me to go book with the neurologist clinic because I said that's autism. So I don't know where you'll be sent if you're just walking and say something else. So you'll probably be sent to another specialist's clinic. So that's where I was sent to the neurologist. I booked the appointment and that's where we started. So we had a couple of sessions with the neurologist because they have to see the child. You have to come with the child and they sit, and the way they do that test is they simply ask you questions and then the child is somewhere doing playing and they observe the way the child is reacting. Is the child making eye contact and that kind of question, those kind of questions. Then after the neurologist, so then you'll get your report later. So you have to come back another day and get your report. So then she gave us the report. She said, we are not seeing any signs of autism.
Okay.
So like I said, it's like elimination method. So we've eliminated what you thought was the root cause.
Yeah.
So now the next part you go is the screening for hearing loss.
Okay, so it's the neurologist who's referred you to the audiologist.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So now you're no longer walking into triage. So that is where you start.
Yeah. Just I'm wondering. So because deafness was not in your radar at all, you're coming with well, we all have a diagnosis for ourselves, don't we? Do that as Kenyans.
Yeah.
So you think it's autism.
Yeah.
Then you receive the report. Then it's not autism. Then you're told about hearing loss. What was that?
In fact, I wasn't worried. Like I said, it was not even in my sphere or my radar. So I wasn't worried. Like, what will I find in...
There's definitely nothing.
Definitely nothing.
So,
So, because we're eliminating. So, see, we've eliminated autism. So, I'm going for the hearing test to eliminate... chances of deafness.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's carry. So you're like, let's just do this. Get on, move to the next thing.
At least we are sorting this out. So that's what we are doing. So we were sent to at that time. We used to do our appointments at Aga Khan, and then we were told they don't have the machine to do the screening for children. It's at Gertrude's. So we went to Gertrude's and we booked an appointment. To see an audiologist and have the tests done. Obviously, because he was under 2 and without a capacity to understand instructions, he had to be put under, not injection, but they gave him a drug for him to sleep, to be able to conduct the hearing tests. Yeah, so we went, we had our first consultation. Then again, now we were booked for the audiology test. I forget what they're called. Are they called? ABR,
ABR, So wait, just a minute. So the first one was just a consultation with the audiologist. No screening was done.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
So that you had to pay for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose you had a medical cover. That's why you're able to access the private hospitals.
Yes, I did. I was fortunate in that we had a medical cover that was covering those expenses. So it was, and they are quite pricey because I remember an ABR at the time was around 10K, and you know so.
And it's under, is it outpatient?
Yes, it was under outpatient. So in that way, we were really fortunate. So we did the ABR, and that's when we got the diagnosis of severe to profound, bilateral severe to profound hearing loss in both ears.
Okay. Speak English. What is that? And this is your second visit to the audiologist.
Yes.
This is now you're receiving. Huh? What do you mean?
Yeah.
So what is profound, severe to profound deafness?
Hearing loss, actually.
Hearing loss.
Hearing loss. So hearing is a spectrum. So starting from 0 all the way to 100, say, in your graph. So you have mild hearing loss, meaning that you hear up to, your loss is very minimal. Then you have moderate, then you have severe, and you have profound. So he was at the severe to profound, meaning he was at the very end of the spectrum. So if, say, the spectrum starts from 0 decibels, the units of measuring sound, so 0 to 120. So 0 to maybe 20 is mild. So you can hear most things except for things, a few things, and then it progresses in that way. So he is at, I think, 110, 120. That's where he hears at. So the way they tell you, so whatever is at 0 to 20 decibels is maybe a whisper. This conversation is happening at, say, don't quote me, maybe 10 to 30.
Not expert advice.
An expert. 10 to 30 decibels. And then for him, he's at 100 to 120, meaning any sound that is below 100, he cannot hear. So he cannot hear this conversation. He cannot hear a whisper, a stream, TV, the things that they say are in that range of 100 to 120 is a jet. You know, the ones for Jamhuri Day,
yeah.
when they pass overhead,
Yeah.
and that's what he can hear.
So that means my voice has to be as loud as a jet for him to hear me.
Yes.
So that's what severe to profound hearing loss is.
Yes.
So Amari can only access
That
the
level of
sound, yeah,
sound.
of a
Or
jet.
if you
Yeah.
drop a sufuria on tile, you know, there you hear you're on fourth floor, somebody in second floor drops their sufuria, ama ile mabati ya kufunika, you know, that it's loud. That's the kind of thing he can hear. Yeah.
Okay.
And or a banging door, and he'll not hear it as a loud, disturbing sound. It will simply be something that's the sound he will respond to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you use the word bilateral. What does that mean?
Oh, in both ears. So
both
he's
ears.
deaf in both ears.
Okay, so from neurologist, good news.
Yeah, he's not autistic.
Yeah, then see the audiologist day 1.
Yeah.
Then day 2, then you
Another
receive.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, you receive the final diagnosis.
Yes.
Which doesn't look good.
It doesn't. It was
Where
not
were
looking
you?
good.
Emotionally. What was
emotionally.
what was that? What was happening? Because you were doing elimination, remember, that's what you said. So
Yeah.
you're like, me, I'm done, then I mean we can go back home. Yeah.
I don't know whether I was in shock or what was happening. So when I received it, I remember I was in a mall. I don't remember which mall, but so his dad went for the results and he came back and gave me the results.
So you were not there when the results were being given?
No, I didn't go and pick the results myself. But I was supposed
and
to
you
go
you had really moved on.
Yeah,
like,
so
yeah.
like you just go pick the results, you move on to the next thing. But now once you get the results, you're supposed to go back to discuss or obviously.
So a third appointment. So this is your 4th appointment so far.
Because you get the results from I think the lab or the person, like not.
Not here,
Yeah,
the way you
not-
have to speak to a doctor.
Yeah, so you can just get because it's a calibrated machine, so it's showing you it's technical. Nini, those are the results you pick.
Okay, I understand.
So you're supposed to pick them from the technical audiologist. You technical person. You take them back to the audiologist to discuss. Okay. So you get them and you go back. Now
I understand.
Yeah,
it's like the way you get your blood test. You can read platelets, whatever they write.
But you don't know what they mean.
Yeah, or you could Google, but then now you need to go back to the doctor. Then the doctor says, oh, okay, this is what it is, blah, blah, blah. So I get you. So now this is your 4th appointment.
Yeah, that's my 4th appointment. So we took them back. No, I remember receiving the results when he came back with them, and I was like, okay, well, so what does this mean? Oh, and there was a recommendation there that this child is a good candidate for a cochlear implant. I had no idea what that is, but I figured, I mean, how expensive can unmanageable can it be? Like?
Yeah, first time experience, not deaf people around you, so
these things are handled. Yeah. And I mean, I see old people with hearing aids all the time, so if they can afford, so that was my thinking. If old people can get them, even so, these are things we sought quickly. Or actually, I remember, when I saw bilateral severe profound hearing loss, I thought it's something inside his ear, like a physical blockage. We go for a surgery, it's fixed, haraka, life moves on, So that's what I thought,
Let me pause there a bit and probably speak to new parents. I think, so there's what you think would be, and then later you realize there's actually the realities of what is, which is very different from what you thought. So basing it on your story of, if I've seen old people wearing hearing aids, I can afford. And then it should be surgery fixed, done next, whereas it's not really the truth.
No, it's not.
And that's part of what we want to share later on, discuss that it took you quite a long time to figure this thing out, and even for Amari to get the cochlear implant done. Okay, so now let's go back to the clinic. So you've seen cochlear implant first time, you think it's doable. Now let's go back to the clinic.
So I went back to the audiologist and the neurologist, because you remember the neurologist is the one who sent you
to the audiologist.
The audiologist. So we went back, and so I think they explained what it. Actually, we didn't go back to see the audiologist. When we picked the results, we took them back to the neurologist, because you had been sent here by the neurologist. And so she told us, this is what it means. Your child cannot hear, and
Okay.
this is the test. I mean, this is what there's this intervention. She didn't call it that, but there's this device you can get that helps children hear. Yeah.
How old is Amari now? 2 years or still 1 year?
He's around 2 years.
2 years
yeah,
now.
We are going to
Yeah.
3. We are going to 3 years.
So it's from 9 months
Yes.
to 2 years, finding a way,
Finding a
understanding
way.
what's happening.
Yes, understanding.
So that's almost a near.
Yes.
A near
Oh,
plus. A near plus.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, I forgot to mention. You get that diagnosis. You have to get a second, third, fourth opinion because what is this they're saying?
Who are they?
Who are they? These machines, hospitals. Kwanza, now you start everything you've ever heard about going wrong in a private hospital.
Start poking holes. Yeah.
Start poking holes. So we got a second and third opinion.
After the fourth appointment.
Yeah.
Okay.
After we got those results, went back to the neurologist, and she told us, no, we didn't go back to the neurologist. Actually, we held on to the results and sought a second and third opinion because what if these people are wrong?
Before the fourth appointment.
Yeah.
So in terms of your emotional well-being, have you, what's happening? Were you shocked? So does seeking the second, third opinion mean you're still okay?
Still okay.
You're still okay. Yeah, you're still okay.
I haven't really understood what a cochlear implant is and what this means. I'm still of the opinion that they are wrong. And if something is indeed the problem, it can be sorted by a quick surgery, maybe go have his ears washed. Go have his ears washed, and then he'll start, it will be okay. So we sought a second opinion and a third opinion, both giving the same conclusion, severe to profound hearing loss. A recommendation is a cochlear implant. So now is when I went back to the neurologist.
Okay. So this is third appointment, then second, third opinion. So you had 3 reports from different hospitals saying the same thing. How long did it take you to do the second, third opinion?
I think 6 months.
6 months, yeah? So that's now why Amari is 2 years.
Yeah.
So now you're like, okay, I think let's go back to the same guy, same person. Yeah. Wow, interesting. Yeah, so averagely, from my experiences in Lugha Ishara, it takes at least 2 years for a parent to do something, something about it. So it's really interesting that I'm just thinking, since you had not had any information or interaction with deaf people, and then do you think it's lack of information or based on now what you know now about brain stimulation, plasticity, I'm just wondering if you knew, and that's why we're doing this, so that parents can know that when you take 2 years or 6 months or 3 months to make a decision, the brain of the child is getting affected. So the longer you take, which is still okay, but not okay, once now you start having information, you'd rather do something soonest possible. So am I making sense?
You are.
So what now in hindsight, what do you think made you take almost an year plus?
For one, I needed to be certain, and even while I'm visiting these places, I don't think I got. I'm being told about the cochlear implant, but still, it's not registering if there's anything else I need to do. So let me speak for myself. So what I would have done in hindsight, if it happened again now, as I'm seeking these second and third opinions, because I know about language and time, the critical age of 0 to 5, is I'll start maybe signing to him, finding a mode of communication as we are doing, as I'm seeking my second and third opinion. So that's one thing I'll do differently. I'll find ways to communicate with him early on in the story, as opposed to waiting for this intervention.
Okay, and part of the strengths we bring in as Lugha Ishara, assuming when you were going through that, Lugha Ishara existed, and because we partner with Gertrude's, you come to Gertrude's, and then this is it. So what we do now is to accompany parents to lessen the journey, you know, so that then you don't need 1.5 year to make a decision, you know. So we do that through, you know, one-to-one conversations, a safe space, community now. Like, for example, Amari himself, just being a child who wears a cochlear. When a parent comes who has a 2-year-old, then sees Amari and then sees you, and you have a conversation with them, then they're like, oh, okay. So we realize that parents, when they see other parents and they have conversations with other parents about what they're going through, they reduce their journey of looking and finding by half.
It's interesting you should say that, because now I'm going back to with my 3 reports to the neurologist. Actually, at the lounge waiting to see the neurologist, I found another parent with a cochlear implant. So of course at this time I'm Googling. I know what a cochlear implant looks like. I still don't know what it takes to get one, but I know how it looks like. So I see this parent seated in the lounge with her child, and she tells me there's a WhatsApp group. In fact, she tells me what it is, what it takes, how it's working, and all this. And so, like you're saying, seeing another parent now gives you a fire. Oh, you mean these things are in the country, it can be done, Nini. So we started having a conversation, and she was really kind to me. And I think that's one of the reasons I do what I do, is because I feel indebted to that lady. She sat down and spoke with me and introduced me to other parents and all that. And put me into she added me into the WhatsApp group, and up to this day, I'm still in that group. I think we started, the time we were 90, now we're almost 300 parents.
Wow, 300.
Yeah. So she's the one who introduced me to other parents, and I started talking and asking questions. So I'm trying to affirm your point on community.
The power of community.
And having other parents behind you and people who've gone before you, and this thing can actually be done. So that's where actually my journey started for the cochlear implant.
Okay. Awesome. So we are at neurologist, receiving final diagnosis. Are you carrying the other 3 opinions?
So
you're going. So what happens now in the clinic? What information do you receive?
Actually, the person who told me all this time, as I'm seeking my 3rd, 4th opinions, so she just, I think for us it was a wrap. I don't know what happens now if you're hearing, if you're following my steps and you get to hearing loss and your child does not have hearing loss. I don't know what happens after that. I never proceeded to find out anything that goes on after that. So she just told me, we had a conversation. She told me, she was very empathetic actually. She told me your child has hearing loss, they cannot hear, and you need to get them this device. Actually, she did mention about something to do with the soonest possible, but I wasn't soonest possible. Do you mean now in money? But she did mention, I would say to her credit, if I'm being fair, but not the urgency. I did not know about the urgency until much later, and thanks to Google.
So there's an urgency. Let's talk about the urgency of getting the devices. What's the urgency about?
So they say the ideal age to get the cochlear implant is 2 and under in developed countries, or below the age of 3. But of course, our context given, I've not, let me take you back a little bit. So all this time at the lounge is when I got to now understand there's Google, because Google is giving you the global context. Then qua ground, I learned about things qua ground on the lounge of that, waiting to see the neurologist. That lady is the one who told me that it costs 3.5, or is it 5 million at the time? I don't know, to get a cochlear implant. I was like, what? You mean it's sequenta kuoshwa maskio? I mean, they are not going to wash his ears and put something in his hearing. So she's the one who told me it costs 3.5 million, and I could not believe it, because what are you talking about? And
that's one cochlear.
That's one.
And Amari is deaf in both ears, profound. So you need 2.
So I need 2. I need
7 million.
I never held a million shillings in my hands like this. So I didn't even know, let alone 7. I didn't have a million to present and say is a down payment. No. So that's when, and then she told me, I'm not a civil servant, so NHIF will not help you. That time we didn't have SHASHIF. It was NHIF. So she said, NHIF doesn't cover because you're not a civil servant. I was like, it's okay. I have a medical cover. And then I learned about the fine print of a medical cover.
So you thought about the 7 million, then you remembered you had a medical cover.
I had a medical cover. So see, that at least 3.5
can be covered.
Can be covered. Turns out there's something we call pre-existing conditions. Since he was born with it, it's a pre-existing condition, and it's the cover I had at the time was capped at 600,000. So I needed to raise 2.9. And actually the 600,000 will be on reimbursement. So I needed the whole amount.
Oh my goodness.
So that's where it started. That's where now the shock started hitting me. I'm a new parent, a young parent.
First time mother. First person with a hearing loss.
Hearing loss. Huge amounts of money are required. And so the first thing you think of is doing a harambe or a fundraising. I'm like, my friends now, I think all my friends put together, will you even get to so now you have to fall back on your parents' support, because they're the ones who have, not that kind of money, but that kind of reach, the network that can raise you, that kind of money, not necessarily them financing the whole thing. So that's what I did.
So before you went into fundraising mode, speak to us about confirmation of diagnosis, the realities you have mentioned. So did you fundraise the next week?
No.
1 month?
No.
And then I remember your emotions were just getting done with this thing, but now it's hit you that it's actually a tall order to get this thing done. And then there's the urgency of it. Amari is 2 years, so he's already looking like he's already past the time for the cochlea.
And I don't have the money.
And you don't have the money.
And I have I don't even have direction of where to get the money. I don't know that I don't have anything I can say, I'll sell that car and get the money. I don't have, I have no direction. So now it's to start breaking the news, of course, to the wider family and telling them, now there's a surgery where a child is put under and they put something in the head, because that's the simplest way. Of course, the cochlear implant doesn't go to the brain, but that's the simplest way, because there is a part that goes on the head here and the other one behind the ear. So, and of course, so it's a convincing, and remember you need their help because you don't have the network, the funds, so you're kind of convincing them this is what is needed, and also convincing them on the urgency. But I was fortunate in that way. I had a lot of support. My parents were very supportive. They just told me, we don't understand what
you need,
what that is, but we are behind you. And that was really, really important for me, or for any parent. When you're for people to say, okay, we've never heard of this.
We don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is, but we support you.
I think it's so important. Sometimes we don't need to help when we understand. We just need to believe and trust, and let's figure it out together. So I think that's a really, really important.
The house is on fire. You don't need to understand what started the fire, or you just know that the fire needs to be put out. So what can I do to put the fire out?
So you're speaking into one of the things we've also found at Lugha Ishara. When a parent was a deaf child, has a strong family support, friends, church, what have you, then it's an easier journey.
It is.
So then for new parents, they shouldn't do it alone. They shouldn't do it alone, even if it may not be your, so to speak, blood family. Like just have community around you in whichever way, and so it becomes easier.
It does. And I also didn't have to convince people in terms of nobody started to question and say it's a curse, and let's let's sort that out, or no. I was fortunate in the way they said, and it's both sides, I'll give them credit for that. They said, okay, we don't understand, like, we've never encountered this, but we are behind you. Yeah, so I wasn't shunned, I didn't have to fight stigma inwardly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, wow,
I didn't have to fight the stigma inward or in my own close circle.
Yeah.
And then also convince of what is needed to be done in the agency.
Yeah. Wow. Then you are really blessed, you know, especially in terms of stigma. Ukupelekwa kanisa uombewe or something.
No.
Kwa prophet anyway. I think it's really helpful. And you know, some people they don't mean to harm you.
Yeah.
It's just the way they see the world and the solutions they have.
Yeah.
So really kudos to your family. Then I'm wondering, emotionally, where are you now? Are you asking, where did this come from? Why me? Why now?
Sometimes, yes, but mostly, I don't know whether it's my personality or what I'll say it is. I was in let's get done with this mode. Yeah, so
let's fix this. You are Mrs. Fix It.
I am Mrs. Fix It. What do we need to do now? Raise the money. Let's get on with it. So but I will say, in hindsight, you get very, very tired being Mrs. Fix It, because you are not...
I was about to ask that. Action more than emotions later.
Later. So that's the way I handled it. Emotions were later. I used to have emotional pockets of breakdown, emotional breakdown intermittently. Then I remember the problem has not been solved, and I get back to action
mode. Yeah, let's fix it.
So let's fix it. So what I did, we started planning a fundraiser. This is now already 2016.
How old is Amari now?
He's 3.
He's 3 years.
He's already 3 years. Into 3. We are deep into the 3 year, because he was born in April. And that's when we started now planning the fundraiser, because you've gotten to the point where you have explored, you've read the fine print of the insurance, you're not covered.
So now Amari is 3 years.
He's 3 years.
9 months. Then 1.5 years going through the screening detection tests. Then 2 years, cochlear implant decision made. Then going into 3 years, you're still finding a way to fundraise.
Yes, we're trying to look for money.
So it's 1 year, almost 2 years finding a way.
Because I remember actually, I think one of those diagnoses came in August of 2015. So that means he was, 2013, he was born in 2013. It's been a while, let me do the math. 2013 he was born, 2014 he was 1 year. It came in August of 2014. So he was 1 year, 4 months, thereabout. I remember one of those diagnoses is around 1 year, 4 months. By the time we are doing second, third opinions and all of that, he's already 3 years.
3 years. Which year is this?
So that's 2016. So we got the diagnosis in maybe... I want to say August of 2014. So 2015 comes and goes. See, it's August. That's when we have one of the I think the first one. And then second, third opinions, we're already now into 2015. Now 2015 is mobilizing people, spreading the word, deciding what to do. That's a whole year.
Can I chime in? 2015, that's when... sort of Lugha Ishara started informally. In September in 2015, when I was turning 16 years old.
Can see that.
Anyway, I wanted to understand deaf people, and I had been hanging out with deaf people, and then they had a fundraiser. Very interesting that you're fundraising and I was fundraising. So I had met Teacher Ben. Now, of course, you know Teacher Ben. So I hadn't met him. I had met a guy called Richard Mativo at work. He's deaf. He had become deaf at that time. And then, so I had worked in Indonesia. That's where I met deaf children for the first time. And that was 2012, 2014. Amari was born in?
2013.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So me, I'm busy running my life, meeting deaf children. Amari has been born. And then I come back to the country. And then I still feel a burden, like, what's deaf? What? You know? And then so I started learning sign language through Richard. And then the more I learned, the more I forgot because I was hanging out with hearing people. So it's like, Richard, how best can I learn? Then he said, look for a community of deaf people and hang out with them.
Yeah.
So then I go to this place. It was a yoga place. I don't do yoga anymore because of my faith, my Christian faith. So I had a back problem. So anyway, so then I go meet deaf people. Then I meet Teacher Ben. Teacher Ben was the most kind person. There were like 40 deaf young adults. And it was really confusing. I thought I'd learned sign language. I'm like, I make sense. Then now, Teacher Ben I sat next to him. So he was very kind to me, asked me, what have you? And then now, he told me what they were doing. And then I said, I'm happy to help you fundraise. So then on 15th, September, I can't remember which date, but it was September 2015. And that's when I did a poster, asked people to come, bring some money. No, it's just, I just said that. Then I connected to my story. So I have no idea that Amari is being born somewhere. Katie's fundraising, and then later we meet in Lugha Ishara. We'll go into that. Yeah, now let's go back to the fundraising story. So it's taken you almost 2 years to figure something.
out.
And Kate, I think you're educated. You had a good job.
Yeah.
Medical cover. A good family system that helped you, that didn't stigmatize you. And yet, it took you 2 years.
It took me 2 years.
To figure this thing out. And Amari doesn't have the cochlea yet. And by the way, what's a cochlea? What's a cochlear implant?
Okay, so when we got the diagnosis, they recommended a cochlear implant. Perhaps your results, if you are walking this journey, might treat something else. It's not necessarily a cochlear implant. So because of the severity, remember I said he's at 110, 120 decibels, very loud sounds.
Yeah.
So if he was mild to moderate or even severe, some cases of severe, you'll use a hearing aid. A hearing aid is the one that you see often. They look like Bluetooth, the earpods or something, So those ones would work because the way they work is that they amplify the sound. They make sound louder because what hearing loss is that sound is quiet. So the hearing aids amplify. But now, because of the severity of his hearing loss, he needed something else, something a bit more technical or fancier, for lack of a better word. So part of his diagnosis, and we'll get there, was doing an MRI. I don't know why haven't we done an MRI at this stage? Oh, okay. Wait.
Have you gone into candidacy and all that?
No.
Getting that? No, you're still fundraising.
We are still fundraising for this cochlear implant. Let me tell you the story of the fundraising, then we'll get back we'll circle back into the cochlear implant. So we are fundraising in 2015. We are mobilizing people. We are getting our stories out there. Then 2016 is now when people are starting to come together. I started a Facebook page. I think it's still running.
Nice. For fundraising.
For fundraising. It was called I Stand with Amari. So it was out. I'm pushing ads for fundraising. I'm doing cards. I'm sending out people. Because the best way, at the time, my thinking was the best way to fundraise is that before you have the main fundraiser, you can't come to people and tell them, hey, by the way, I'm doing a fundraising and I have 0. So, and I need 3.5. You'll demoralize people. So,
you need to do your part.
You need to do our part. So we did our part collecting through. We had a pay bill and an account. People would send money there. So the goal was to people to collect some money. Not everyone will make it to a fundraiser. So that we have that money in during the fundraising, and then people can send people when the fundraising is happening. Then it's being done. At least you have something to back you up. So that's what we did. So the whole of 2015, late 2015, early 2016. That's what we were doing. So we were pushing Facebook posts, giving out Harambe cards. It was really tough approaching people for money. But then at the same time, the generosity of humanity can surprise you. You'll find people you didn't expect will give you 20,000. I remember my boss at the time, he wrote me a check for 100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really eye-opening. It was an eye-opening time because different people have not even heard your story. Others are, of course, telling you, kuja nikuombe.
Yeah.
Like, thank you,
Yeah.
thanks, keep praying, I need money. But keep praying, thank you very much. Yeah, so that's what we did. We did, so in 2016, we did a fundraiser. When was it in October? Yeah, I remember it was dubbed I Bring the Thunder because, you know, thunder is loud and he cannot hear. So
Wow. That was creative.
I know.
What did it come from you?
It was
Mrs. Fix It.
Mrs. Fix It was on it. It was called I Bring the Thunder. That was what we were calling the campaign. Yeah, so we brought the thunder and we raised about 1.8 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Or is it? Yeah, 1 million. I can't remember. I think so. I think 1.8. I think. I'm not very sure. But we needed 3.5. So there's a gap.
There's still like...
Yes, there's still that
almost,
much left.
Yeah, almost double.
Almost double left. Yeah, so I went back to Google. I found a list. Remember, I'm in a group in WhatsApp. So there's a lady there. Again, the power of community. I think I'll say that over and over again. There's a lady there. She gave me a list of organizations that help deaf children. I didn't know anything about that. So I had a long list. There were like 20 with links. So I'll write to them. Every organization, I'll write to them, telling them, this is who I am. I am Kenyan.
Hey,
I have this is Fix It.
Yeah.
I was in action mode. So I wrote, a few got back to me, a few would tell me, actually I'd go through the eligibility requirements. If I qualify, I write to them. They tell me what they'll tell me. I move on to the next. So at the background, when I'm doing the fundraiser, I'm writing these emails. So I wrote to one organization. Actually, two came back to me positively. One said they don't give money to individuals. The other one, they sent to hospitals, and they sent, I think, I don't know how many $1,000 to a hospital I had chosen in India, because that's where I wanted to.
Oh, you wanted to do the surgery in India? Sorry.
Yeah, in India. Yeah, then I was to look for the money, but what I had raised plus what they had given still was not enough. Then I got one foundation, now the Dallas Hearing Foundation, they told me. Actually, it was a few days after the fundraiser. They got back to me positively, told me they'll finance, they'll pay for the surgery and the device. All I had to do was look for fare and accommodation.
Which you already had.
Which I already had. Yeah.